I'm Dwight Drummond. Tonight, the push to get more people in the GTA vaccinated and boosted continues, and it won't let up even during the holidays.
More than 6,000 new appointments over the Christmas holidays and more than 14,000 new appointments over the New Year's weekend.
With many braving long lines in the cold for a chance to get their shot, thousands of new appointments are coming online to meet the surging demand. Plus,
the fact that we've been exposed doesn't mean we have to be off now.
What I see that is going to happen is that we will have a health system collapse.
a policy change will let hospital workers exposed to someone with COVID get tested and stay on the job. But there are concerns it could worsen potential staffing shortages. And one's almost 80, the other a young student. They're sharing a home and bridging a generational divide in the process. Ontario's COVID-19 case count is higher today than it has ever been before. More than 5,700 new infections were reported today. The previous record high was set back in April at just over 4,800 cases. As of last night, there were 440 people with COVID in hospital. Of the 440, 304 are not fully vaccinated or have an unknown vaccination status. 169 patients being treated in our ICUs. Of the 169, 137 are not fully vaccinated or have an unknown status. The province is also reporting 7 more deaths. With the push to get as many people as possible vaccinated and boosted against the Omicron variant, more appointments are being made available right across the GTA. Chris Glover with those details.
An unusual holiday season coming with an unusual holiday rush. 400 COVID vaccine doses available for walk-ins at Taylor Creek Public School today.
I'm just glad I came at 6:30 and not any later because the line just started to pile up.
This first person in line says it was well worth the 3-hour wait.
I really hope people don't miss out on their booster shots because it's important.
Despite only expanding third dose eligibility on Monday, already more than 25% of Toronto adults have their third shot.
Getting your vaccine is about community care, not so much about you personally, but it's just part of being a good citizen.
We're going to have, as you know, people working on Christmas Day, maybe including some of you, and on New Year's Day, and the whole effort is going to continue.
Toronto's mayor today thanked staff at the city's vaccine clinic at Woodbine Mall. All 5 of the city's mass clinics will operate through the holidays, adding more appointments every day.
It's something that I think is very significant, obviously, to people that we've been able in a short time to ramp that capacity up from 400,000 to 1.2 million doses, and our efforts are continuing.
This morning, Toronto opened up 14,000 new vaccine appointments for the New Year's weekend. 2 hours later, Toronto Public Health confirmed 99% of them had already been booked.
We have achieved in mere days vaccination levels that it took weeks to reach in the summer.
The other long lines you'll continue to see this gift-giving season, not for any hot toy, but for COVID rapid tests.
How do you feel about actually getting your hands on one today?
Pretty good.
You guys are at the back of the line, you know that, right?
We do.
Yeah.
Hundreds at Yorkdale Mall today hoping to score a free test kit.
The lineup for the pharmacy was about a mile long, so we figured, well, why not go stand in this mile-long line instead and get something for free?
Yeah.
Compared to past Christmas wish lists,
want to make sure everyone's safe and happy.
Yeah, no COVID in our family. That would be great.
This year, a much more simple wish for the holidays and beyond. Chris Glover, CBC News, Toronto.
Ontario has revised its COVID isolation rules for healthcare workers in the hopes of preventing a staffing shortage in the face of the latest case surge. Hospital staff who are exposed to someone with COVID-19 don't automatically need to stay home. That's as long as they continue to test negative for the virus and don't have any symptoms. Talia Ricci has more.
And now it's like when you go to see them.
For some who are working in Ontario hospitals, the new directives bring relief.
Because, we're chronically stressed with being exposed at work and being exposed at home. And just the fear, the fact that we've been exposed doesn't mean we have to be off now.
The province says hospital workers who have been in contact with a positive case no longer need to isolate, as long as they produce 2 negative PCR tests, are asymptomatic, and complete 10 days of rapid testing.
We need a way to maintain our system's ability to deliver care in a timely and effective way. We therefore support the policy that was introduced because absent flexibility in previous policies, we would frankly be unable to staff our hospitals and clinics.
I think that the biggest issue in this wave is going to be human resources.
The province's top doctor said the same thing. They're doing this because they need healthcare workers on the ground in the new year, and it would be too big of a risk to have asymptomatic staff isolating.
With healthcare workers, because we're estimating 20 to 30% risk of absenteeism. That's typically what happens with an influenza season.
And through the holiday season, we recognize that we need to make sure that people get a time to rest. And we also recognize that when we're short-staffed, we're having to call people in from vacation.
The head of the Registered Nurses Association of Ontario worries about more spread and nurses not being equipped with enough N95 masks.
Probably they should have started this working quarantine much later, when they're even in an even bigger crunch with human resources, not now that will continue to propagate it.
Dr. Kuldeep Sidhu says while healthcare workers like him are gearing up for another holiday wave, there's a difference this year. Staff are armed with more experience, tools, and vaccines.
I'm very hopeful that we'll get through this again and, have a return to normal life very soon.
Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
The Omicron variant is making it increasingly difficult to prevent infections, and with record-breaking rates across the country, a long-standing problem could be getting worse: the stigma of having to break the news to friends and family and other contacts. Vicatopia has more.
Doing the right thing, masking, distancing, vaccinating, still may not be enough against Omicron.
The fact that I got it in the first place was shocking. And then to also then give it to him was, upsetting. I felt really bad to put that on him.
Alexandra Floyd is quarantining with her partner, despite taking every precaution when she broke the news to contacts. She says it was hard not to feel judged.
Where were you? Who were you with the last couple of days? What did you do? Who are you around? Who did you expose? And I understand those questions need to be asked for sure.
So I have come to terms with the fact that I will have this virus at some point.
This scientist says the evidence is clear. Omicron is able to evade some of our best defenses.
So don't blame yourself if you get it. It's incredibly contagious. And even just like I said, passing by someone breathing the same air is sufficient right now. And nobody can stop that from happening and still have a normal life.
Still, for people testing positive, it means uncomfortable conversations.
You can feel that shame when they call you. And I've been very clear telling them, listen, this is par for the course. This is going to happen to all of us, and you can't feel guilty. This is just what is going to happen at the end of this pandemic.
Experts in pandemic planning expect infections to spread to most of the population as viruses become endemic and hopefully less severe.
And so that message needs to get out there rather than everything we did failed. Because it really isn't about that. It's just the rules of the game have changed, and now we have to flex into a different approach.
That still means critical efforts to limit the spread of the virus to protect the healthcare system and those most vulnerable to a bad outcome. Vicatopia, CBC News, Toronto.
A legal dispute between Metrolinx and Crosslinx Transit Solutions, the contractors building the Eglinton LRT, has now been settled. The two sides disagreed over the extent of the delays caused by the pandemic, among other things. Delays that have business owners impacted by the construction growing more angry by the day. Greg Ross has the details.
We need to get business up and running, especially for the area.
Carmela Alampi is part owner of Anthony's and Andrews Formals on Eglinton Avenue. She was upset to learn that a settlement reached between Metrolinx and the contractors hired to build the Crosstown LRT included a new completion date set for September 2022, a full year after the previous projected completion date.
Of course I'm frustrated. Got to figure out another solution, what I can do to keep surviving on here.
She says for the better part of the last decade, she's been trying to run her business in the middle of a construction zone. And she says it's taken a toll.
Parking issues, construction trucks, blocking parkings for clients and customers to come in and shop. Foot traffic is even hard because everybody thinks they can still walk through, but they can't.
They're going to have a fantastic world-class system
when this is all done. But the pain in the meantime is not lost on us by any means.
Metrolink spokesperson Anne-Marie Aiken says the bulk of the delays are the result of COVID-19 pandemic lockdowns and unforeseen issues they've encountered while building under the Eglinton Station subway stop.
And there were some engineering challenges. They really had to get minds from around the world together to sort through. So that did cause some delay as well.
As part of the settlement, Metrolinx has also agreed to pay Crosstown Transit Solutions an additional $325 million for the extra time it's going to take to complete the LRT. Aiken says the additional cost won't put the project over budget.
It has remained within the budget envelope that originally was planned for the project, so that's the good news. There's always built in some flexibilities because of these surprises that come up when you are building massive projects like this.
According to Aikens, there are still other contractual issues before the courts, but she says they don't anticipate having to pay more or any additional delays. Alampi isn't so sure.
I don't know what to believe anymore.
When the construction is complete, Metrolink says it could take several more months before the LRT is able to accept passengers, which could run well into 2023. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Yesterday, we told you about the act of vandalism that left elevators at 10 TTC subway stations out of service. Today, a TTC spokesperson says crews are optimistic all the damaged elevators can be patched up by tomorrow evening. Crews are using plywood as a temporary repair while they wait for a permanent fix. So far, the elevators at Bayview, Broadview, Queen, Shepherd, and Spadina are already back in service. The TTC believes one person used a hammer to vandalize the elevators on Tuesday night. Police are investigating. We have new details tonight about how Toronto Police used the Clearview AI technology in a wide range of investigations. Clearview software uses facial recognition data compiled from billions of images on sites such as Facebook and Instagram that can in turn help police identify suspects and victims. Lisa Shing has more.
This was the scene of a fire in East Toronto that killed 49-year-old Marina Kadzaniak. It was the city's third homicide of 2020. Using Clearview AI, police made an arrest a week later and charged the suspect with first-degree murder. Identifying a suspect that way was a slippery slope, according to the Canadian Civil Liberties Association.
When you're enforcing the law, your first obligation is to comply with it. And it really doesn't seem like that was top of mind.
More than 600 law enforcement agencies in Canada, the U.S., and beyond have used Clearview software to identify people. CBC News obtained an internal report through an access to information request that shows Toronto Police submitted more than 2,800 photos to the company's database between October 2019 and February 2020. They identified several victims of child sexual abuse, self-exploitation, and human trafficking. But police also use the software in frauds and robberies.
Are there ever any kinds of crimes that are so heinous that we would be justified in using this very intrusive technology if we had the right safeguards and frameworks around it? This list goes way beyond that list.
The report also shows police did not conduct internal or public consultations before using the software. 4 privacy commissioners have since found Clearview AI conducted mass surveillance and broke Canadian privacy laws by collecting photos without the public's knowledge or consent.
We know that if the police violated the law as part of their investigations, this could make those investigations vulnerable to charter challenges.
Another problem, the technology's accuracy.
This technology has been found to have higher incidences of false positives or misidentifications for faces of people of color. This means more investigations, potentially detentions and arrests of individuals in marginalized groups.
The Toronto Police Service has since stopped using the technology. It tells us it's developing a guideline for the use of AI to comply with Canadian privacy laws. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
Still looking like a wet Christmas, Nick?
Still looking like it, Dwight. Unfortunately, we've got rainfall. Now, you wouldn't know it if you looked outside right now.
because we're seeing some snowfall, mostly to the west end of the GTA, but even in downtown, we're starting to see some of it, even if just light flurries at this point. Temperatures still holding steady below the zero mark. -2 degrees is where we're at right now in the city of Toronto. And you factor in a little bit of wind. The wind's up to about 20 kilometers per hour. And you've got wind chills in the neighborhood of about -7 or -8. Now, we do have a weather advisory in effect. Basically from Kitchener out toward Kingston along the north shores of Lake Ontario, and this is for the system that's sweeping across, essentially saying that there are likely to be some poor travel conditions, especially on unprotected roadways. And it's part of this system that's been moving across southwestern Ontario through the day today, just starting to poke into the GTA at this point. With it looking at about 2 to 5 centimeters of snow before it tapers off. And in fact, by tomorrow, speaking of the wet Christmas, by tomorrow evening, we've got showers in the GTA as the temperatures start to warm up. Showers last into Christmas Day as well, and the temperatures continue to warm. Here's a look at the next 24. 0 degrees tonight, or holding steady at 0 degrees. We'll actually see the temperature climb a little bit here. About 2 to 5 centimeters of snow, less so though in the downtown core, and then 5 degrees tomorrow with some evening showers. We'll have your full forecast coming up in just a bit.
Thank you, Nick. It's a reunion years in the making and just in time for the holidays. A young woman from Afghanistan arrived here in the GTA a few years ago. Her family had been torn apart by the Taliban. Her mother, father, and husband all killed. She had a community of local supporters who have been working to bring her young siblings here to Canada. Well, tonight they are all together here on Canadian soil. Sarah Ahmadi shared her remarkable story with our Shannon Martin.
It's very a good day for me to meet after 6 years my siblings. I'm very excited. I can't express my feeling very well. I can't sleep last night.
I believe it. 2,190 days, 6 years. That's how long Sarah Ahmadi has been waiting to hold her siblings again.
I count every moment, They become now, they grow up, but when I saw them, they are small.
Their journey has been long and painful. A family torn apart over the last 2 decades by the Taliban. In 2009, their home in Afghanistan was destroyed by a bomb, killing their mother. Years later, it was supposed to be a new beginning. Sarah and her husband, an Afghan translator working with the Canadian forces, planned to move to Canada together. Then his father got sick. Sarah made the journey alone. 1 week later, she got the news. Her husband, targeted by the Taliban, was killed in a car bomb.
I became unconscious. I go to the hospital. I stay a night in the hospital. But I lost my hope. I lost myself. I never think how to stand up again, how to continue my life again. It was very horrible time for me.
So sorry.
Yeah, still, I can't imagine how I started. The same year, I got another bad news. The Taliban attacked again in my village. They killed 72 people, include my father, 4 of my brothers, and 4 of my cousins. It was a difficult time for all of my family, for all of my siblings. They said they passed a lot of tragedy, a lot of suffering.
Her siblings managed to escape to nearby Tajikistan with their stepmother. Ever since, Sarah and her community of supporters in the GTA have been working to bring them here.
We met in the summer of 2019, and she shared her story with us, and that was a very traumatic time. I think we all wept together when we heard the story. We didn't know about these 6 siblings, and when she told us, we said, well, let's see what we can do.
Well, just when I learned of their story, and my wife Tara and I were able to help them out financially as well, just over this time. just to help meet some of their needs.
After a flurry of fundraising, mountains of paperwork, and careful coordinating, finally, the reunion they've all been waiting for. Very late Wednesday night, her stepsister and 5 brothers arrived. Their precious first hours together spent sharing meals and memories.
I just can't wait to hear how's it been going. How are you feeling?
Oh my God, yeah, I'm very, happy.
Hard still to quite believe it's all real. That first night, she says, while full of joy, there's still so much trauma. Something she knows takes time.
What's your hope for your new life in Canada together?
They should start a new life, going to school and learn a new language and to know the Canadian culture and system, to be a good citizen, to help, to learn, to dedicate their lives for others, to help others, how the people help us.
Shannon Martin, CBC News, Toronto.
What started as a pilot project pairing students and seniors together as roommates is now expanding. It started in Toronto in 2018. Now HomeShare is on its way to communities right across our province, helping young people find affordable housing and helping older adults stay in their own homes.
When people are asking like, oh, where are you living? Like, oh, I'm living with my roommate. Oh, what does your roommate do? Oh, she's almost 80. Everyone's always very jealous.
At the beginning, I used to go to her door to knock. That's kind of silly. So now we text.
We text.
Whatever I want, when I want it. It's very sweet. It's very,
no problem. That's what I'm here for. Hi, my name is Maggie. I'm a student with the Toronto HomeShare program, and I've been matched with Dorothy.
No, I found it.
Oh, okay. These ones look okay.
Hi, my name is Dorothy, and I am a client or an elder in the Toronto HomeShare program.
Oh, I love this mug.
I found it in the newspaper, and I only get the paper once a week, and there it was. I was really looking for somebody else to be in the house. My husband passed away a number of years ago, and many people, well, I should move. Well, where am I going to move to? Because I really love my house.
What our program seeks to do is match older adult home providers who live in the city of Toronto with post-secondary students for a co-housing arrangement in a way to help older adults age in place while also addressing the affordable rent crisis that is facing students, also fostering some intergenerational exchange between older adults and students. We know that there's a lot both of those demographics can learn from each other.
The student does 7 hours of light housekeeping a week. That's what they're committed to. The one that's most important for me is the computer. Computer and garbage. So often Maggie has sat with me to show me how to do something. She's a genius.
So if you wanted to have 2 screens going at the same time, I wasn't really sure how I was going to be of help to Dorothy. Meeting her, even for the first time, I could tell she was incredibly independent. I feel like in our case, it feels more just like we're roommates and not like I'm supporting someone. I think that it's really nice to just be in the house, and if anything were to happen, it's nice to just have someone else there. You know where I live?
Nice friendship there. Also in our city, an organization that's helping seniors by cooking up soups that are easy and fast to make.
Our goal is to help with, food security anywhere we can. But we wanted to make a product that was as easy to make as a cup of tea, but full of nutrition.
It's called All Dried Up. Once the soups are made, they're portioned out and dehydrated. Then they're packaged and delivered to seniors or food banks. They have flavors like coconut red lentil curry soup and potato leek cauliflower.
Response has been very, very positive. And to date, we have made over 10,000 meals and delivered 10,000 meals.
The program began following the start of the pandemic, and now they're expanding to send meals to those who have difficulty accessing healthy food up north. And a reminder that you can do your part in giving back this holiday season. So far, you've helped us raise over $844,000 for our Sounds of the Season fundraiser with the Daily Bread Food Bank. For more information on how you can help, go to cbc.ca/SOTS. COVID counts are up across Canada, bringing in another round of restrictions.
what is really going to happen? Where are we going to eat? Who's going to be eating with who?
We'll bring you more details, including from our province. Plus, new studies released in the UK are showing that Omicron variant may be less severe than the Delta strain. We'll bring you those stories after the break. Stay with us. The latest COVID counts are breaking records, almost 9,400 in Quebec, nearly 5,800 in Ontario. The numbers have triggered another round of restrictions, thrown holiday plans into confusion and triggered renewed concerns about the healthcare system. Lindsay Duncombe reports.
There's a Christmassy, COVID-y quiet in Quebec. Celebrations changing, worry getting worse.
A lot of anxiety, a lot of, what is really going to happen? Where are we going to eat? Who's going to be eating with who?
As people line up for tests, the reality is those staggering case numbers are only part of the picture. It's not just Quebec. Across the country, testing can't keep up with infections.
Our testing capacity is near its maximum. Clearly, as the number of cases are going up, people are either going to be waiting longer and longer to get tested. They're going to look at these huge lineups and say, I'm not going to get tested.
The thing that seems to make a real difference in the fight against Omicron is that third vaccine dose. In Toronto, clinics will keep boosting Christmas or not. More than 45,000 doses were delivered yesterday alone.
COVID-19 won't take the holidays off, doesn't take the holidays off, doesn't even know it's a holiday, and so we're not taking the holiday off either.
And in BC, some not yet eligible crossed into the U.S. for a booster.
We went in there and they filled out the forms and so forth, got my shot, and then popped back over the border, and it was free.
People getting sick is one thing, ending up in the hospital is another.
So the hope is that all these measures are going to be able to curtail the spread of the virus and that we won't see, a rapid rise in hospitalizations, that we might be able to adapt.
So the message for now is keep those streets quiet and those celebrations small. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Vancouver.
A historic city in central China has imposed a near total lockdown in an effort to slow the spread of COVID-19. Xi'an is home to the famous Terracotta Warriors. The city has been seeing infections spike over the past 2 weeks, but is reporting a relatively low number of cases, just over 200 cases of about 13 million people. As of today, only one person in each household can go out for necessary shopping every 2 days. Other family members must stay home unless they have essential jobs. There are also tight restrictions on commuting and travel in and out of the city, while mass testing program has been put in place now. So far, the area has not reported any cases of the Omicron variant. Some new data from the UK suggests the Omicron may be less severe than the Delta strain, but Britain's Public Health Agency is cautioning these findings are still preliminary and highly uncertain, while experts see it as encouraging. Many say the new variant could still overwhelm health system because of the sheer number of people getting infected. Freelance reporter Laura Making-Isherwood explains.
Well, this latest data from the UK Health and Security Agency appears to show that if you are infected with the Omicron variant of COVID-19, you are 50 to 70% less likely to need care in hospital if you become infected with it. Now, that, of course, will be welcome news to many, particularly considering the high infection rates in the United Kingdom at the moment. We experienced a record daily number of infection rates here in the last 24 hours, just under 120,000 new cases reported. But scientists are urging caution moving forward across the Christmas period, because they say with that sheer volume of cases, actually hospitals could still become overwhelmed because of that sheer number. They are also saying that the vaccines actually appear to become less useful after about 10 weeks. The effects of those seem to wane after 10 weeks after your most recent jab, and that of course means that people do need to continue to follow those usual protocols, washing hands and wearing masks in enclosed spaces. Now, the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has not instructed any further restrictions in England, at least, or the rest of the United Kingdom ahead of Christmas Day. Instead, he's saying he wants people to be careful, to take lateral flow tests themselves before they meet family and friends to try to prevent that spread. He's not ruled out imposing any further restrictions, though, after Christmas Day, and we've already heard from the Welsh and Scottish governments that they're about to impose restrictions on numbers of people meeting for indoor events and outdoor events. Some of those will come into force from Boxing Day, but we're still waiting to hear if there's anything else being brought forward for England. Laura Macon-Isherwood for CBC News, London.
Back in the summer, a mysterious explosion forced more than 150 people out of their homes in a small southwestern Ontario town of Wheatley. The blast in August leveled part of the downtown. Now its evacuees are preparing to celebrate the holidays away from home. CBC's Dale Molnar has a story of what one family is doing to make their Christmas as bright as they can.
Mommy's trying to play a song here.
Stephanie and Jeremy Charbonneau and their daughters are celebrating what they do have this holiday season.
And then these ones were the ones my husband bought for me with the date of the explosion and then like our last name on that side.
The family is living in a rented farmhouse, forced to leave their Wheatley, Ontario home because of the risk of another explosion. Last August, an explosion leveled several downtown businesses. Several homes nearby were evacuated as a precaution, including the Charbonneaus. The community has helped them out with donations. They're grateful, but would still like to know when they can return home.
Of course we want to go back there. That's where we set up our first roots. That's our first home that we purchased together.
My best case scenario is that come the spring, they've figured out what's going on, they resolve it, and they allow us access to start fixing and rebuilding our lives.
The trouble is, the source of the gas, which is suspected of causing the explosion, still isn't known. The municipality has said it will only allow people to return to their homes once it's safe, if it ever is. The Charbonneaus say living in this temporary home in rural Leamington has its challenges. The internet is not quite as good. Jeremy needs it for work as a computer application engineer, and their older daughter Mabel is mentally disabled, so she finds navigating the stairs a bit difficult. And there's no place like home for the holidays.
One of our annual traditions is a Christmas Eve party with all of our neighbors.
The Charbonneaus have been able to visit their home to retrieve some belongings, but they are concerned about leaving the house empty.
Our struggle is the municipality hasn't allowed us to winterize our home, and we have boiler heat and rads with water in them. That could be an issue as it gets colder.
The Charbonneaus say the best Christmas gift they could get is just finding out if or when they could ever return to their home and know it's safe to be there. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Leamington, Ontario.
Still just can't picture us walking around with umbrellas on Christmas Day. Just
No,
can't.
eh?
Just a
Not what
strange
you would
picture.
imagine. No. Actually, in my weather headlines, I was trying to think of what picture I could put for a green Christmas. I put a guy on a bike. I don't know. Maybe you're going to be biking. I mean, we're looking at temperatures that'll be up around 6 degrees for the GTA. Some areas will actually be even warmer than that. Snow tonight, though, still. So watch for slippery roads. Changes over to some rain showers for tomorrow night. We're seeing the snow just in the Golden Horseshoe area at this point. And again, we've got weather advisories in effect from Kitchener, basically right along the 401 and right along the shoreline, all the way out to Kingston. And this is for potentially poor driving conditions, especially on unprotected road surfaces. The heaviest of the snow is going to be falling this evening, and then it sort of starts to taper off. It's part of a generally a weak system here. Bringing with it about 2 to 5 centimeters of snow for the region. Some areas not even going to see that. By tomorrow morning, it clears out. Just some cloud cover in the forecast for tomorrow. And then by the evening, we're looking at showers moving into the GTA. Temperatures start to warm up. We've got showers through Christmas Eve into Christmas Day morning. And then the risk of showers Christmas Day, but generally it should be dry. I mean, we're looking at just some very isolated spotty showers. Starts to clear out into Saturday evening, and then the temperatures begin to come down again. In terms of the snowfall totals, I mean, it really depends on where you are, but it's not a big snowfall event tonight. Nevertheless, still looking at some slippery road conditions in some areas where it's unprotected. So generally 2 up to maybe 4 or 5 centimeters of snow is possible, but it's not going to stick around. Temperatures are going to warm up too quickly for tomorrow. Winds are lightening up as well. By tomorrow, we're not looking at anything in terms of wind chills, both because of the temperatures, but also the winds sort of beginning to peter out here. 0 through the overnight. We're basically going to come up to 0 and then sort of hover there into tomorrow morning. Wind chills of about -3. Tomorrow looking at highs of 4, 5 degrees and cloud cover. Slight chance we'll see in isolated showers, but by and large should be dry tomorrow until we get to the evening. Then in the evening we've got rain showers moving across the GTA. We'll see that continue into Saturday morning for Christmas Day. Then it clears out. Might even see a little bit of sunshine toward the evening there. Mix of sun and cloud on Sunday. A little cooler Sunday onward, but still not bad for this time of year. Dwight.
Not bad at all, but you and I have one more day to fix it and get some snow.
Yeah,
there,
I know.
buddy.
I'm working on it, man. I'm working on it.
Thank you, Nick.
You bet.
Some mainstream companies are taking steps to be more inclusive with their products. They're working to make them more accessible for people with visual or physical impairments. A Canadian company based in Vancouver has produced a special run of holiday chocolates with packaging that includes not just English and French, but also Braille. Nisha Patel has the report.
Everybody else can see and grab the ones they want except me.
It may be just a box of chocolates, but for the blind community, it's a taste of independence.
I got it!
So we talked a lot to people who are in the blind community and they share that they often feel like they're forgotten.
The Purdy's chocolate box features Braille on the outside and a Braille chocolate legend inside.
This is rare to find Braille on a product.
John Ray has been blind for most of his adult life. Without the Braille on this box, he would have to ask a store clerk for help.
We do not like having to rely on others as much as we do.
With 1 in 5 Canadians living with a disability, businesses of all sizes are starting to take inclusive packaging more seriously.
Our new limited edition easy open lid.
Beauty brand Olay changed the packaging of some face creams.
Degree has created the world's first adaptive deodorant.
Degree is testing new packaging featuring a Braille label. It can also be opened with one hand. Christina Mallon helped bring this campaign to life.
My personal goal is to make inclusive design the only way people design.
After becoming paralyzed in both arms 10 years ago, Mallon now works with companies to improve product accessibility.
I do show them the business numbers about how this will increase customer happiness, employee happiness, that will help their bottom line.
Surveys show that adapting packaging to all abilities creates loyal customers. Back in Toronto, Ray says it's just good business.
When something is done to make a building or a product or a program more accessible, allegedly for us, it often helps many others.
And seeing even more inclusive packaging on store shelves permanently would be sweet success. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
Great ideas. The Canadian economy grew for the 5th consecutive month in October, according to the latest numbers released by Stats Canada. Gains for the month were seen across most sectors, including manufacturing, which showed a rebound of 1.8% in October. Auto manufacturing output providing a big boost to that sector despite ongoing supply chain disruptions. Gains were also seen in retail, construction and home resales, and larger capacity limits for audiences saw growth in the arts and entertainment industry. Overall economic activity in October was 0.4% below pre-pandemic levels in February 2020, but the gap is narrowing. As we head to break, here's a look at where the markets closed today. The TSX closed up by 149 points. The Dow also climbing by 197. The dollar trading at 78.03 cents US. Stay with us. We'll be right back. A remarkable fossil find in southern China is showing us how a baby dinosaur looked inside a prehistoric egg.
This is one of the best preserved dinosaur embryos ever found and reported in Science. Because it is so well preserved, we can observe its posture very clearly, which allows us to compare it with other dinosaurs as well as modern birds.
This animation was reconstructed following the discovery of a fossil that's more than 66 million years old. It's the embryo of a toothless theropod dinosaur, too young to hatch, but now essentially frozen in time. This tucking position was previously thought to be unique to birds before they hatch. Scientists say this fossil shows the behavior may have existed in non-bird dinosaurs. This baby dino measures about 27 centimeters from its beak to the tip of its tail. It was found curled up inside an egg about 17 centimeters long. For 52 years, the Tiffany lamps and stained glass panels have lit up the intersection at Dundas and Golden. Now, the stained glass work of master glass artisan Joseph Eigener can be seen in countless buildings around the city and the country. But now, because of the pandemic, he and his wife have made the tough decision to close permanently. Today, they held one last closing holiday sale. Joseph was not available to speak to us, but we spoke with his wife and daughter about the legacy their studio leaves behind.
Well, Joseph was a young apprentice, like his dad did the work as well. And his father put him into an apprenticeship, which is what they do in Germany. When he came to Toronto, he came down the Don Valley and fell in love with Toronto and never left. The first money he did, he went and saw a real estate agent and said, I want to buy a house. So he bought his first building at 2108 Dundas Street West and created a little showroom and then a little workshop area and a living area in the back. Then I met him from August that year, 1972. We've been pretty much together.
Well, it's sad. They are artisans that have made terrific lamps and stained glass. We have 3 of them, so we've enjoyed them, and nobody else makes them like this way. So.
Into the neighborhood 14 years ago, and it's always been a part of the neighborhood. It's always been like a landmark and a fixture.
265 churches and cathedrals and synagogues, and but there are makes me think about some landmarks in Toronto, such as the Spaghetti Factory. There's a humorous stained glass window in there that the owner commissioned with my dad, and I think it was when the Blue Jays won the World Series. And so the faces of the team were put into this traditional stained glass window, very unusual, but this was a commission my dad got.
COVID forced us into it too, because our artists got long haul COVID and from April and still without coming back in September. And with all that studio part not working, nothing was moving.
It's emotional. It's been an emotional last 3 or 4 months now. I guess it's been a full 3 months when my mom messaged and said the building's sold, and we have to get rid of everything in 3 months.
The support of the people in the community and all around Toronto, they love art, and we've been so supported, and it's just been so great.
A Vancouver area artist is showing her favorite take on a Christmas decoration. You're looking at Nasib, a 2-meter-tall South Asian nutcracker. Artist Jag Nagra built the nutcracker over 3.5 weeks. She says she was inspired to make it because she'd never seen a South Asian nutcracker before.
Very few have even brown skin. Certainly none have like Indian ornaments on them. Yeah, I was just inspired to put my own cultural touch on it.
Nasib may not crack any nuts, but he's already generated some interest among collectors. Although the family has had a few offers, the nutcracker is not for sale. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Yeah, that's pretty right there.
We all know Santa can deliver presents to millions of good children in one night, but there is a pre-flight checklist to go through before he can get to the Christmas wish list. Luckily, Canadian officials were there to help St. Nick before he takes off from the North Pole. Here's a video from Transport Minister Omar Algabra's office.
Control room. Standby procedure.
Control room here. Standing by.
Let's get started. Weather.
Clear.
Flight plan.
Flight plan ready.
Communications.
Ready.
GPS.
GPS linked.
Guidance.
Guidance check.
Radar.
Radar check.
Airspace.
Clear.
Vaccination.
Fully vaccinated.
COVID test.
Yes, valid test results are in.
Arrive can.
Received.
Great, we're ready. Santa, you're good to go. Welcome back. Santa is now cleared for Canadian airspace. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas, everyone. Please stay safe.
Yes, we will try. You've got to show that to Nick Jr.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I will. I will make sure. Actually, I told him I was on tonight, so he's
probably watching
right now.
Hey,
exactly. Yeah. And you know, he was one of the guys, he was like us. He was hoping for a white Christmas, but you know what? The good news is Santa doesn't need snow to land his sleigh. So don't worry. Even if we don't have snow, it's okay. Actually, where they are going to see snow is out west. Look at this cold push of air that's coming down. Meanwhile, for us, staying in relatively warm temperatures, and that's the story heading through the next few days. So with that being said, enjoy a green Christmas. We're looking at a few snow showers tonight, 0 degrees. That'll melt tomorrow evening, 5 degrees, and above 0 overnight when Santa comes.
Thank you, Nick.
You bet.
That is our show for tonight. Thank you for joining us. Kelda Yoon has your next local news at 11 after the National. We're going to see you back here tomorrow. Isn't it Christmas Eve tomorrow? Yeah. Have a great night. Stay safe, everybody.